Female friendship is just so special and important. As I was watching this, I was like, I get to talk about this with Caroline, who like...
Stop it, I'm actually crying!
No, don't start crying.
He eats stew every night. What are you, like, in Oliver? Like, eating gruel every night?
That's too much stew. Welcome back to another episode of And Just Like Yap. I am Andi.
I am Caroline.
And we are back for the 5th episode of the 3rd season of And Just Like That. I'm going to jump right in. Under the table. Okay. Episode opens. Carrie looks stunning and amazing, as always. We get the voiceover of her writing her novel at the beginning of this episode.
We are back in New York. I'm so happy.
Thank God we are out of Virginia. No offense if you're from Virginia, but the Virginia we were just in was not real anyway. It was weird, uncanny valley. We see for the first time, we don't know this yet, but it is her downstairs neighbor. And you specifically asked me to make sure that I had a screenshot of his bucket hat. Okay. So here you go, Caroline.
Okay, so it made me think of in Princess Diaries after Anne gets her makeover and she has to go to school and wear the bucket hat because she's afraid to show everyone she has straight hair now instead of curly. And that's exactly what this made me think of. Like everything else neck down is very Indiana Jones, but the bucket hat, I don't know. Who are we working with?
I have never seen a bucket hat like this that seems to be made of tweed. I'm more familiar with a typical canvas bucket hat. And I did not realize that Carrie didn't just own, like, the whole section of this building.
Yeah.
We begin a montage of Carrie in her apartment with a small sample of all of her amazing heels. I did want to comment on this jingly dress, though, that looks like it came from Miss Frizzle's Etsy store.
I know. I gotta say, the whole montage made me think of Anne's montage in Devil Wears Prada. I needed some KT Tunstall underneath to really show the passage of time, but like this was so Sex in the City to get like the amount of fashion in like 45 seconds to really prove a point for the neighbor under. I don't know. It felt really great.
I do agree that Suddenly I See in the background. It definitely felt like that moment in Devil Wears Prada. So yeah, she's strutting around. I will say, this is such a crazy thing to mention. The gait of the walk of a couple of these shots, I was like, that's not Sarah Jessica Parker. I was like, that's not her footfall. I know Sarah Jessica Parker.
I didn't even think about that. I was too distracted by the beautiful shoes.
But we've got Boots Were Made for Walking playing. She's strutting around, and her neighbor is downstairs, both having an incredibly muscular, handsome back and struggling to sleep. Yeah, this guy downstairs in a much less nice apartment that seems to be a studio? I'm very confused.
It felt like a pre-war apartment, like maybe a bunker but it sounds like he doesn't even live there that much anyway, so that's probably why it's very bare bones. But I would expect this apartment from a man of a certain age, of 20 to 37, but after 50, it's a little jarring.
I mean, at least he has a box spring. His mattress is not on the floor. However, he does have, as you've mentioned, you hate this, one of those headboards that's like a weird little like bookshelf right behind his head.
What is it with the set deck in this show putting bookshelf? Because I think it's because now I live on the West Coast, that if there was an earthquake, that would all fall on your head.
Also, I would smack my head. I would get myself all snuggled up in my sleep underneath that bookshelf and then smack my little head. There's no way.
No way.
And it is revealed to us, this Factor's face is revealed to us, I guess, for the first time.
He's hot.
He is. Oh, he's absolutely
It's
hot.
very, like, Darcy vibes. It feels a little like enemies to lovers. We don't like each other trope. And there's, like, a lot of hot banter. Another hot man. Thank you. Our prayers have been answered. We have now had two hot men. The counter goes up to 2 hot men on And Just Like That.
At this rate, by the end of the season, maybe we'll have, like, a full set of, like, 5 or 6.
A whole basketball team.
Yeah.
starting
five.
lineup. Yep.
He's mad. I agree with you. It does feel very Darcy. It feels very like Hugh Grant rom-com. Like, this was probably my favorite episode thus far because it felt like they're going back to basics of like, this is basically an extended romantic comedy with a lot of plot over this course of a season. So just treat it as such.
And I have a quick question. How do you feel about shoes in the house?
I don't like shoes in the house because, as Charlotte later says, it's unsanitary because if you've been walking around outside, you're bringing that into the home. I cannot stand the feeling of, like, when I'm walking barefoot through my home and I get, like, crumbs on my feet. Wearing, like, $500 heels around the house all day is, even for Carrie Bradshaw, seems insane to me. And we've seen her barefoot before many times in her old apartment, so.
But also, you're trekking in, like, New York dirt. Like, not even, like, regular dirt, New York dirt. And that is, like, I don't even want to think about the layers of cesspool that is within that tracked into your home. And also, Carrie, hire an interior designer. If you have this at this point, get a rug. Get 12 rugs. I don't understand what the issue is at this point.
Okay, so then Carrie is, of course, reporting this at lunch to the gals, and Seema mentions that she did indeed tell Carrie about this guy that only lives below her for 6 months. And then we get a recycled joke that, to be honest with you, I don't think sat super well the first time they put it out. But we get a woman's right to shoes, which is one of my favorite original episodes of the original series. And of course, I went and got a screenshot from that. It's a dumb pun. It's a pretty dumb pun, but
they love it. They were like, we have to do it.
What I really liked about this episode in the original series is that it was about being a woman who has decided that, like, either because of circumstance or because of, like, what you want to do with your life, you are not having a wedding and a baby and all of the typical events, and you're still a valid person. I love that.
But I'll say, like, also with that episode, too, it's, like, it's aged very well, and I think it's one that will always feel relevant, because I think for you and me as people, like, in their mid-30s, and, like, having experienced this, gone to, like, 9 million weddings and baby showers and having expected to show up for everyone else. When do they show up for us? And it was like a nice moment of like Carrie Bradshaw getting to really kind of stand in that power for all single girls in their 30s, whatever their age are, to show that like our wants and needs matter too. And it was, I don't know, that episode will always hold a special place in my heart.
Oh yeah, it was formative for me because like, the first time I watched it, I was probably 14 or whatever.
Yeah.
And there are many ways in which watching this show in my tweens and early adulthood probably messed me up, but
for sure.
The reminder that you can be a valid woman and a valid human being, even if you are not doing the like classic socially accepted steps in your life, was very, very important to me too. So I agree. That's an all-timer for me. We find out that the man living below her, because Carrie drops the name, is Duncan Reeves, who is a biographer who Miranda loves because we know, again, from the original series, she's horny for a historical biography. That's how she meets Will Arnett, the guy who likes to get caught while he's having sex.
In public places.
And then, of course, Carrie says that she would not even take off her heels in her home for William Shakespeare himself. Carrie is, like, very, like, weirdly stubborn.
Also, Miranda has a wild line in this scene about, according to Goodreads, he has writer's block. Which I was like, why is that in Goodreads? And every writer has writer's block.
I could walk out my door in Chicago right now and find a white man who has writer's block. Like, there, with my eyes closed. And then we're doing a walk and talk from lunch. Charlotte asks for an update about the Aiden situation, and Carrie's like, there is no update. We're just, like, not doing anything, and that's fine. I don't have a screenshot of this, but Charlotte then mentions that she couldn't possibly live without Harry. And if you watched the promo, it does seem like that is portending something bad happening to Harry. And I swear to God, I'm talking to you, writers of And Just Like That. If you kill off Harry Goldenblatt, I don't know. I'll cry. I'll definitely cry, but I will probably write you a very strongly worded email.
It'd be my 13th reason. Just to say, we just said we've lost Big, we've lost Stanford, we've lost Dr. Nia Wallace, and you're expecting me to feel like I have to continue with this farce if Harry Goldenblatt is not on the screen?
Harry Goldenblatt is quite possibly the only 100% high quality significant other who has ever been on this show. So we need the blueprint. You got to keep the blueprint. So now Miranda's in her Airbnb and there is heavy metal music playing, which she is very upset about. We are not sponsored by Loop earplugs, but I just want to say, like, this whole episode, I was like, guys, get some earplugs.
Noise canceling headphones. Get some over the ears.
Harry and Charlotte are on a walk. And of course, Harry asks if Charlotte remembers when he wet himself.
With a bag with Richard Burton on the bag.
Yes, I did notice that. She's walking Richard Burton, and she has his face printed on her bag. So Harry has gotten himself checked out because he wet his pants unexpectedly and also was having trouble in the bedroom. And it turns out he has prostate cancer, and he announces it to Charlotte in a very Harry way. That's like, I'm just gonna get it out and say it. This ruined my evening. I was so upset about this. He then does go on to say that, you know, it's very treatable and they caught it early, and regardless, it's still very upsetting.
I understand that we needed to give Charlotte and Harry a quote-unquote more mature plotline, but did it have to be this?
I know.
I would have taken Harry having a midlife crisis over prostate cancer. Harry experiencing a sudden career change, Harry getting laid off. But a health thing just feels, for something that's already so fragile to this group of women, in particular because of Big, it feels just a little I don't know.
He's such a bright spot in this series. Obviously the series is a comedy, but he has some of the funniest, most charming moments. So it makes me sad that this is the hairlit. I was gonna say Harry and Charlotte, and I said hairlit.
What a couple name.
That's the couple name. It makes me sad that this is Hairlit's plotline, but I'm reserving the rest of my judgment after I see what else they do with it, because they could handle it well. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a somber feeling over the general vibe of And Just Like That. I think that's maybe what it is. It's a little bit of too much reality in a show that's so divorced from reality.
I totally agree. It dabbles in reality, but Miranda is literally working in human rights, and every time they bring up a human rights issue, of which there are numerous ones happening right now, they
pick one out of a hat.
They just pick one, a vague one that's not real and doesn't make sense, but we have to give Harry cancer. You guys, be nice. Be nice to us, please. We're still watching this godforsaken show. Can't you throw us a bone?
We're fragile. Let us be.
Okay. Then we cut to LTW's incredible apartment, incredible kitchen, and incredible outfit. I just needed a moment for this pantsuit, which is off the charts amazing. And we see a little bit of tension happening between Lisa and Herbert, because Herbert doesn't remember being told that they're going glamping this weekend, and Lisa is convinced that she told him. Also, this 10-course breakfast that is this a daily?
I know.
Is this a daily occurrence in this home? So we have serving platters of pancakes and sausage. That's not what anyone does in their home before you go to work.
And also, there's only 4 of them. It looks like food for an army.
This moment, Seema is at the bank asking for a loan, and she's talking to Linda about what just happened with her professionally. And she's vibing with Linda. She's trying to really influence Linda, be this total asshole dude screwed me over, because Seema's smart and she's savvy and she knows that any working woman probably has some man that they can't fucking stand at their job.
They've got their own Proust hanging over them. Or Ryan Serhant, who knows?
And Linda is I'm going to try and help you out. By the way, my boss sucks. My supervisor sucks. As the internet figured out immediately after this episode aired, we have seen this character before when Carrie goes and applies for a loan at the bank and gets denied. I honestly can't believe that they brought this actress back because this is such a fun, campy choice. I love this. I applaud this.
Honestly, more of this. This is what we're asking for as fans. Like, these, like, little nuggets. Like, it doesn't have to be full-on through lines from the show, but the nice little Easter eggs that are for us and let us know, oh, you're listening to us, and we like get to now watch with eagle eyes like we're Marvel fans and getting our little Sex and City Easter eggs, and it's very fun.
The whole time I was watching that scene, I was thinking about, oh, this reminds me of when Carrie applied for a bank loan. And I definitely felt like a familiarity and like a vibe from Linda. I was like, she's really good and she's really funny. But I didn't put two and two together until people who are even more rabid fans than we are on the internet figured it out. Bring back more minor characters. Also, like, I just want to see Susan Sharon one more time. That's it.
We need it. We need it. So we deserve it. We earned it. I want Susan Sharon. I want Jennifer Coolidge back with her bag.
Yes, absolutely. Carrie then tries to make peace with her neighbor by offering a basket of local goodies. She does her classic Carrie Bradshaw entering a room. Pizza, get it while it's hot.
She loves a prop at the door.
She does love a prop at the door, the riding crop and the hat, which is now a meme for being a desperate person.
A desperate pick-me.
It's cringy, but, you know, it's her thing. So he ends up inviting her in, and he's also, like, very mean, like, doesn't even crack a smile. Like, I'm not saying Carrie Bradshaw is super funny because she's not, but
no,
he, like, won't even do the polite thing and, like, give her, like, a tiny
not an inch
or the hint.
Not an inch.
Not an inch. It's very, very Darcy in that way. And then he does the meanest possible thing that you can ever do to Carrie Bradshaw, which is hand her an Amazon package with these little slipper socks.
I said these were like Nana slippers. Like, no offense if you're a Nana, like, we love Nanas, but I was like, to give Carrie Nana slippers.
It's pretty rude. It's pretty rude. She is incensed by this and says the most insane thing. I'm not even sure I can walk without heels, which is not a sentence that's going to get anybody on your side, Carrie, because that's an absurd thing to say.
Oh, Carrie, you're really not helping us in this battle.
No, she historically does not help her cause by continuing to talk a lot of the time.
No.
Duncan is like, what the hell's going on in this courtyard? I really like the way it was before. And she's like, it was a rat superhighway. So he's just mad about absolutely everything that's happening.
And I have to say, like, the upstairs, downstairs, it's just like, it's got a lot of tropes going for this. So
it does.
Don't let us down. I'm excited.
I love a curmudgeonly man who is softened by, like, romance.
Tale as old as time.
And then we are at Harry and Hairlet's apartment. And Anthony is, of course, noticing that Char seems distracted. Charlotte has a little bit of a break where Lily and Rock are like, we don't want to go on this glamping trip, and Charlotte, like, loses it and is like, you're coming, and we are all going to stay positive and have a good time for your father.
Two non sequiturs of the scene. Rock forgetting that they're a vegan is the most, like, on-brand thing for Rock that I could think of. Like, of course, like, they're at that age where they're just sort of, like, picking their personality, and it hasn't really stuck yet. So, of course, like, seeing them go after a bunch of cheese and Anthony having to remind them that they're vegan. But also, Lily talking about the schedule being poly. I was like, I respect everyone in my life who is poly. I don't know that you're poly. But the logistics of it sounds so exhausting. I wouldn't be able to do it. One person on, all, like, I was just like, this is so much work.
You are an excellent communicator who always texts back and keeps a clear calendar, and that can never be me. It just can't.
It's just, more power to all of you. It's a lot of, juggling one person is a lot. Two? A polycule? I couldn't imagine.
I could never. I really couldn't. Okay, so then Miranda's back in her Airbnb, and she's on the phone with Carrie and super pissed because we've got loud heavy metal music playing across the hall again. The last time it played, she slipped a note under the door from her classic Miranda Hobbs legal pad, and she finds out that there's nothing that can be done because this apartment isn't even supposed to be on Airbnb in the first place. And then one of a number of moments in this episode where Carrie is like the whiniest little baby with Miranda. This is like one of my least favorite shades of Carrie Bradshaw, when she like fixates on something that somebody did and decides that it's like this grave injustice that Miranda might be reading texts while she's on the phone. Like, Carrie, everybody reads texts while they're on the phone. I'm sorry.
Carrie, this is deflecting from your big issue, which is your relationship. You are taking out your issues on Aiden to Miranda because you will say none of this stuff to Aiden.
That is so true. Miranda is often like the repository for like all of the feelings that Carrie refuses to express to her significant others, which is often the case with your close friends. But and then we get
the craziest cutaway, like the most Miranda reveal.
I gasped audibly, and Jim came running into the room and was like, "What did you just gasp at?" I was like, I don't even know where to start, because I don't know how to explain to you what this person is doing in a Just Like That, because I don't know what they're doing there.
I know. It does feel very New York, in the sense of this would happen in a New York building, that you would find out your neighbor is naked, full frontal, with a cleaver, listening to heavy metal. Like, yeah, of course they are.
My thought here was, is this really the first and possibly only full frontal dick we're gonna get on this show? Is this man? Like, not that I need full frontal dick on this show, but like, this is it.
I know. How far we've fallen from Dante and Sex and the City, the movie, to like, this is the dick that we get.
I know we're never gonna see Marion's dick. I know that we're
certainly not going to see Duncan's.
Probably not. We're probably not going to see Duncan's dick. Why do I have to see this guy's dick? It is them injecting a moment of like classic New York, because there's a lot of like glamorous, upper crust, wealthy New York in this show. And then of course the next thing we see is Miranda moving in to Carrie's apartment, which makes sense and should have happened from the beginning. But both of them did mention on the phone that, you know, they like to have their space. So we're gearing up for like probably a little bit of an odd couple situation.
It was mature of the two of them to acknowledge at first that this would be weird, and that's why they didn't do it immediately. So then it's like, hey, Carrie, if you're gonna have someone move into your apartment, get furniture. I think a lot of the issues in this episode could be resolved if we had furniture.
And could be resolved if Carrie wasn't so set in her very specific ways that she thinks are perfectly normal and acceptable, and everyone else is like, including the viewer, is like, no. And immediately, as soon as Miranda walks in the door, she's like, don't roll your suitcases so hard. Take off your shoes, even though I'm wearing my heels, because I know how to walk on the floor quietly. And then she's like, you notice how you can... If I came to my close friend's home and this is how they treated me after I walked in the door, knowing that I was planning on staying there, I would be like, I'm so sorry, I have to get out.
I am turning around.
And then this table that we cannot get rid of arrives in the flesh, straight from the conference room at the local Hampton Inn and Suites. It turns out the reason that the table was sold is because Aiden bought it for her.
Which is like a callback to the when Smith Jared buys the ring for Samantha in the Sex and the City movie. But at least that was a gorgeous ring. This is a horrible table. Like, I think I see that table and I see continental breakfast.
Which... I
love a continental breakfast.
I love a continental breakfast.
But just like, not in my home.
Ever.
Not in my home.
No.
Yeah.
The joy of the continental breakfast is that it's not in your home. So yeah, the table gets delivered, and it's, you know, it is a nice gesture from Aiden of like, Carrie was clearly upset and she didn't express it properly, and so, you know, he's trying to make good on the thumbs down. And then we get this lovely moment from this actor, who is like, that is very romantic. I love when they give like extremely, extremely side characters like a fun little moment. And I liked this guy.
From working for The Velvet Touch is the name of the moving company. I loved that he had a whole thing. He was like, this is very romantic. And I've seen a lot of romantic shit. I'm like, what other romantic stuff is this man seeing?
I'm not rich enough to know if like people are buying each other expensive furniture as like a romantic gesture, because that's a large purchase.
That's a different tax bracket. We're in like 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. If random furniture showed up at my door, I'd have a panic attack. I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, where am I gonna put it?
Where's the storage?
And then Duncan arrives home to head into his apartment, and of course Miranda whips out her Winston Churchill biography that he wrote. I loved this. I love this.
Miranda has always been such a fangirl and is like never cool about it, and I love this little detail.
Yeah, she's never cool about it. From saying Che's comedy concert 18 times in one episode to whipping out the book, Duncan has to get his little stab in and is like, you don't need to put your booties on. She has no rugs. And I'm like, well, still put your booties on. I mean, like...
And she had rats. Let's not forget she had rats.
She had rats. Okay, so we are on the plane with Marion, who... yeah, I mean, he's just... That is a beautiful man.
Look at how tall he is just seated. Like, that is a man. That is mass.
He is a presence. He is a beautiful man. LTW and Marion are on the plane. We've had a lot of issues with the lack of, like, current humor and, like, current actual what's going on in the world on this show. Yeah. But I did love this little dig at, you know, air travel right now, which has become calamitous in a way that is very upsetting. So he's like, well, at least the door stayed on the whole flight. That's really a win these days, because we are living in a hell.
But it is funny, this plane looks like it's from 1985, like a Pan Am flight. Like, I can't place, like, what year it's in. It's
weird to see a woman who is dressed so glamorously. I would give my life just to sleep in her kitchen, is flying this way. But the cramped, small coach situation does then, of course, lead to this moment of her basically straddling him in order to get out of her seat. Do you have thoughts about people who stand right away when...
What are you doing? You only should be doing that if you have a connection. That is the only person who should be standing in the aisle, is the person who needs to run and go. We are all going to the same place. There is no reason for you to be standing, but there's always every businessman, all of them, they're all in khakis, and they're like the dry fit polos. They're all standing in the first 16 rows of the plane, acting like where they have to go is more important than everyone else on the plane. And honey, newsflash, I'm going to tell you, it's not.
Men of that ilk like to dress as if a game of golf could appear at any time for them to play.
Anytime. They're stepping off from the plane to the golf course. Like, that is where their brain lives. They're living a life of aspiration manifestation that they will be at a golf course. And honestly, I sort of respect that delusion, but act like you're on a plane like the rest of us, and remember that you're in coach with everyone else.
Especially people who are like, I'm never sitting close to the front because I didn't pay for a seat close to the front. And then I'm always like, we're in the fucking back. Like, you do know how this works. The people at the front have to get out first. Correct. So, yeah.
It takes time. Also, people who, now, because they have the diagrams of how you're supposed to put your carry-ons in the overhead, all of the people who still leave them horizontal instead of vertical. It takes 2 seconds to put it up there, and then everyone will have space for their bags. It's like they didn't watch High School Musical, and they didn't hear that closing number. We're all in this together. Wild cats everywhere.
Wave your hands up in the air. Then we get to Rock being the cutest little snarky teen, because they're at this ridiculous glamping experience. I did look this up. You can glamp on Governor's Island, which is, you can. It is.
How much?
I did not look up how much it costs. That's actually a great question. Let's do a real quick.
We're doing this in live time, everyone. Okay,
this is it.
If you wanted to book in July, it's roughly, depending on the weekend, so 4th of July weekend, it's $600 to glamp. What do we get in our glamping experience is my question. Was this an advertisement? Did Governor's Island pay them, and this is how we got this in the episode?
Honestly, it seems like they might have, because I'm looking at these pictures and it looks like the exact...
How do you feel about camping? Are you a glamper?
I hate it. I hate it.
As a woman of a certain age, I need regulated temperature. I need to know what temperature I'm sleeping in all evening. One other thing about camping was I couldn't believe, why are we making s'mores in broad daylight? It felt way too early. That felt very strange.
LTW and Herbert are arguing again because she was supposed to bring chocolate, and she's like, you never told me that. And then Charlotte has another outburst that it's chocolate, not cancer. So she almost lets it spill out. And then we got a bit of a jump scare that we are going to be texting Samantha again.
Did you recognize the music underneath?
I did not.
Okay, the music underneath is the same music as when Samantha is looking at Dante in Sex and the City, and she's like on the porch. The da-da-da, that music. I don't know if they were like now using that as like the Samantha chime, like when we introduce her. Yeah,
that's her leitmotif.
Yeah, so that's like, oh, we're gonna talk about Samantha.
Samantha, who only exists to us via text because Kim Cattrall will never ever be back on the show. Carrie is texting Samantha because Samantha lives in London now and she knows the hot goss. So she's like, what's the deal with Duncan Reeves? They say he's a lot of fun. And then, of course, after Carrie says he lives underneath me, we get classic Samantha, I wish he was under me. It's devastating that we only get to hear these lines via text message and not from Kim Cattrall's mouth. And then Miranda is about to go on her first date sleepover at Joy's, and she's wearing this incredible mustard yellow jumpsuit that I love. And Carrie is like, let's jazz it up, and gives her a scarf, and we get a little moment where they both allude to the fact that Miranda has lost a purse of Carrie's before, and then of course Carrie can remember the exact purse, but she's like, it's nothing, you can take this scarf, it's no big deal. We've planted the seed for Chekhov's pashmina, that
Chekhov's scarves.
And then we get to Joy's apartment, and she has these greyhounds, and I squealed. I love Italian greyhounds. I also loved that these greyhounds are named Sappho and Socrates.
I mean, it tells you everything about Joy, and, like, what a mental match she is for Miranda, but also... We know Miranda's not a dog person, so...
She is not a dog person, but Italian greyhounds aren't really dogs. They're like little alien creatures more than anything else. But I loved that the dogs are named Sappho and Socrates. Like, they are turning Joy into, like, one of the most likable characters ever on television, in my opinion.
No, and I also loved the Casey Musgraves needle drop in this scene.
Yes!
I thought that was really fun. And
Carrie's back home with her own pet, Shoes sleeping on her head, like a classic woman and cat relationship. And then more surprise nudity. Miranda, in the middle of the night, I guess has gotten up to pee or something, and she's fully naked except for a pair of socks, which I just love. And then, of course, Carrie being who she is, Carrie who is like, I don't know, petrified by the naked form.
She's never seen one and hopes to live without ever seeing one.
She, of course, then smacks right into the wall while trying to go back in her room because she's so startled by her best friend of many decades being naked.
Also, wouldn't Miranda send a text, hey, I'm coming home?
Probably. You can't think too hard because nothing makes sense. Carrie caressing her beautiful Hilton Garden Inn table to pull from what you said last time. Miranda is like, what the fuck? Like, why did you freak out that I was naked in your house? Rightful question, Miranda.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we get this quintessential moment in living with your friend, or living with anyone, really.
Yeah.
Is that my last yogurt? She's just like, she's not gentle with Miranda in these situations.
No.
Like,
Carrie, you're in New York. You have a lot of options to fix this right now. You can even
correct.
go downstairs and ask Mr. Old British Head and ask him if he's got yogurt.
Do you have a yogurt?
You have a spot of yogurt.
This I loved. Miranda says, I thought it was a house yogurt. Which, like, honestly, this is really excellent writing because, like, yeah. I get what she means by that, even though it's a ridiculous thing to say.
Like a house banana. Like, all of those things make sense to me. They should have just gone to LTW's kitchen and taken some of their breakfast.
Yeah, they had a full buffet. LTW has the continental breakfast, and Carrie has the table. So we should
merge the two, the great merger.
Then we get a shot of Adam and his nephew kind of sulking because they were just, I guess, reprimanded by Duncan for doing garden work. I'm also like, how long does it take to plant a very small courtyard garden? I'm just saying.
I would kind of love if, like, Adam's just, like, always planting in the garden. Like, that he just always has, like, some kind of project and never really leaves Carrie. I think that'd be kind of charming.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'll keep him around. He's, again,
come
one
plant
of
my garden,
three...
you know what I'm saying?
You can spend as long as you want in my garden. Yeah, he's one of 3 attractive men on the show, so he can do that as long as he wants.
2 more to his party lineup.
And then we see just how the glamping is. I mean, I feel like I could handle this type of situation. However, I don't know what the AC situation is, like, in this gauzy tent. Harry doesn't want to go outside because there's mosquitoes. This is, like, the most unfair I think I've seen Harry be to Charlotte, and he's going through his own thing, but this is the most, like, selfish, for lack of a better word, that I've seen Harry be in his relationship with Charlotte, because usually, like, she has carte blanche to do and say whatever she wants.
What I do hope is maybe where this is going, and I don't know that we've seen Harry and Charlotte do this, but it would be cool to see them do, like, couples therapy. Like, that would be, like, actually an interesting sort of path, I think, for them, because we've not seen them sort of explore that with them, and I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, especially if they got, like, a Fiona Shaw or somebody to play their therapist. You know what I mean? Like someone with some gravitas. I had to take a screenshot of Lisa Todd and Herbert's son saying, "This croque monsieur is divine."
Where did the croque monsieur come from? It feels like they're raising their kids like they're, like, little old people. Like, they're commenting on the croque monsieur and the quality. They're, like, talking about the thread count. It's just very, like, funny.
This is what happens when you're raising rich kids in New York City, I assume. And then, of course, Herbert is upset that Lisa has a picture with Marion on her phone. He refers to Marion as Michael B. Handsome, which...
Michael B. Handsome!
Okay. So then Charlotte and LTW both decide they have stuff they have to get off their mind, so they go on a nice little walk. The colors in their outfits are just, like, impeccable in this scene. Like, they both look so vibrant.
It's ketchup and mustard.
Yes, they are ketchup and mustard. Oh, my God. Carrie brings Seema over to see the table. Miranda has fully parked herself at this table because she's Miranda. She has sprawled out with all of her Miranda props, her legal pads, and this, that, and the other. And then she spills Carrie's last Mexican Coke. And then, of course, she uses the scarf to mop it up because there wasn't a paper towel within reach. And Carrie freaks out and is like, nothing I own is nothing.
It's time. These two need to not be living together. Let's get them out of the roof. Let's fix
Not
this
a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's had this experience of, like, someone you're very, very close with who's basically family to you, and then you live with them, and you're like, can't. For the health of our friendship. We have Adam, the gardener, gardening. I literally went back and watched this again. I'm like, he's literally just poking at a pile of dirt with a shovel to make it look like he's doing something.
That's what gardening is.
Adam wants a pull of the cigarette. They start flirting a little bit. Very flirty vibes. I think this episode really...
Very phallic.
I think this episode really confirmed that Adam is a possible love interest for Seema and not Carrie, which I am excited about. And then we get this moment, which I absolutely loved because, you know, hippie Adam is like, oh, you need to calm down. Have you tried yoga? And she's like, you're asking a South Asian woman if she's ever tried yoga.
Well, and I heard was like, it was like, oh, the woman I'm seeing. So we got a clue that, like, I think Adam's not single right now, but I imagine by the end of season, Adam will be single.
Also, he's being very flirty and very interested in Seema for somebody who is not single. I'm just saying.
This woman that keeps wandering into his garden, his secret garden, his Mary Lennox.
Mary Lennox with a pack of Marlboros. Seema probably doesn't smoke those. She probably smokes something classier. But Carrie is back in her shockingly small bare kitchen. And she and Miranda are on the same page that Miranda cannot stay there because they cannot live together. They are not that kind of friends. And then this scene really, really made me cry.
I love
Not this part. Yes, not this part of it. Obviously, LTW is saying she does have a work crush, which was an interesting reveal because so far, like, even though Marion is really gorgeous and they clearly had a really fun time, she has not given any indication that she is actually interested in him. But, you know, she's a mere mortal. Obviously, she's going to be interested in him.
A rock is interested in Marion. Like, that man is hot.
A rock, not rock themselves. No. A rock.
A rock, not rock.
A rock.
A rock. A sedimentary rock.
And then Kristen Davis, this face is enough for me to think that maybe you should get an Emmy nomination for a show that probably shouldn't get any nominations. This look really killed me. And then when LTW puts her hand on her back.
I know.
And female friendship is just so special and important.
It's like I could cry. Like, I feel so like you should be so lucky to have a wonderful female friendship in your life and to, like, see it, like, it goes beyond words at sometimes. And this was, like, such an expression of that.
Yeah, and, like, not to make both of us start crying, but, like, as I was watching this, as I was watching this, I was like, I get to talk about this with Caroline, who, like, you would be... like, my person, like, if we were in this experience, like, this is the kind of thing that we would be doing. No, don't start crying. But I was like, how special,
face.
Like, no, Caroline, we don't have enough time left for you to cry right now. Okay, the episode's over. I'm sorry. I love you so much.
I love you so much, too. I know. It's...
I know. Female friendship, it's so special and so important. And, like, just the fact that, like, she asked, do you want to talk about it? Charlotte said no. She clearly considered it for a second. She said no. And then there's just nothing like a close friend who will just gently remind you, like, regardless of whether you say anything to me at all, I am here and I love you. And, like... oh, my heart. My heart.
The true love story in all of this.
Yes. Well, the true love story of Sex and the City is always between the friends. Like, the men can get fucked. No one cares. And then Carrie puts out a fire with her expensive heels, which seems incredibly off-brand for Carrie, in my opinion. Puts out a fire with her heels and obviously redeems herself to Duncan, who has started said fire by completely ignoring a pot of food that he had cooking on an open flame.
I will say he's the one person in New York with noise-canceling headphones in this world.
This drove me crazy. Okay, the man can't sleep because she's clacking all over upstairs, and yet he doesn't even hear his own smoke alarm. Wear the noise-canceling headphones to bed. Everyone on the show is creating, like, unnecessary problems for themselves.
There's a detail he says in a minute where he eats stew every night. I just can't imagine eating stew every single night. What are you, like, in Oliver? Like, eating gruel every night? Like, no disrespect. I love a stew. Give me chili every day. Stew? But every night of the week, like, in the middle of summer, crazy. You're eating stew?
That's too much stew. It's way too much stew. And then Carrie, of course, starts going in on him about, like, I've heard you're a fun person. When is that gonna start? And the vibe of this really reminded me of when she goes on the first date with Alexander Petrovsky.
Yeah.
And she's trying really hard to, like, get him to sort of open up and crack. And is like, what was Studio 54 like? And he's, like, giving her nothing. Duncan appears to be eating something that is borderline stew. Like, it's got a very shepherd's pie vibe to it.
I need this man to, like, know what a fruit is. Like, there are other foods other than stew.
Stew 7 days a week is absolutely crazy.
Like, what is your doctor saying when you tell them you're on an all-stew diet? Like, I'm eating beef stew, beef stroganoff, I'm eating, who knows what else. Like, a
can of Hormel chili.
Yeah.
And Duncan reveals that his current biography, his current subject, is Margaret Thatcher.
The Iron Lady.
And this was interesting because I was already thinking, oh, this guy does historical biographies. Carrie's writing a book that doesn't take place in present day, and he is, for the first time, writing about a woman. They could maybe help each other and fall in love in the process. This is exciting. He mentions he's nervous because he's never written a woman before, and then she's like, I'm nervous because I'm writing a novel. And he says, oh, dear God, that house is just going to be vibrating with anxiety.
Or
it's
something
going to be
else.
vibrating with something.
Hopefully.
It's very clear the direction that we are headed in.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to be getting along now and enjoying each other's company. He mentioned that, like, he is not fun in New York. Like, he just comes to New York to work. To which I say, why New York then? Like, if you're only gonna hole up in a shitty apartment, you might as well not be paying New York prices. Like, what? Why? So it does sort of set the stage, though. Like, he says he, like, hasn't really explored New York, doesn't know what's going on in the neighborhood, and, like, Carrie basically lives and breathes New York, so I don't know. I'm already in my head, like, picturing, like, the montages of them, like, going around the city together and, like, writing together. But we do see that this experience has changed Carrie's mind about him enough that she takes off her shoes when she enters her home.
For a woman who has worn high heels her entire life.
Doesn't even know how to walk without them.
It just makes me then think her feet are like Margot Robbie's in Barbie when they come out of a shoe, that they're just in the heels like that.
But she does put her feet flat on the wood floor. I really liked this episode. I thought this was, like, possibly my favorite one so far. There were a lot of really funny moments, and it seems like we are getting back to basics that we love from Sex and the City, which is just treating it like an extended romantic comedy.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that Miranda has her own place by the next episode. I just have my fingers crossed that we'll see Miranda not in an Airbnb. Maybe Steve's popping by with a housewarming gift. Miranda! I brought you some non-alcoholic wine! Overall, I'm excited, but I'm also nervous because the preview shows that Aiden returns like a veiled threat next week.
I didn't watch it yet. Ew.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the Great Terror was over for a week, but he returns next week.
That makes me want to throw a tantrum.
I know. I'm sorry. We are in New York at least, but yeah, Aiden's back.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I assume that means he's going to have some interaction with Duncan, which I do look forward to because I feel like Duncan will insult him to his face, and I'm fine with that.
I already can foresee Aiden calling him Dunkin' Donuts.
God. Yeah, he loves a horrible joke.
A horrible Homer Tater sort of kind of pun.
Goober instead of Uber. He's not funny. All right, well, that's all from us for this episode. Obviously, if you are enjoying, please like, please subscribe, please tell people. They don't even have to watch the actual show. We'll watch it for you. And we will be back next week for the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you next week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.